Easy way to tell the difference between the two Iowa State athletes, Kiptoo and Kurgat.
I'm, I'll do some quick research and see if I can't get an answer for you. It's certainly, as you mentioned, it's not the conditions. That's just a tradition that he has because the conditions are optimal, really, for 5,000-meter racing. It's been an incredible environment today. Skies have been
And we are
clear. Temperatures have been nice. It's been right around those mid to high 50s for the majority of the evening. So, ideal racing conditions for this field that you have a competitive, a stacked field of athletes over 5,000 meters. A battle certainly between those Oregon athletes, the Iowa State athletes, and a few Butler Bulldogs. Rob, you
and just
mentioned
a
Wesley
reminder.
Kiptoo and his performance at the NCAA Indoor Championships, winning the 5,000. And that was just a couple of days later that he competed at the NCAA Cross Country Championships. So, a difference from Oregon and those athletes who elected to specialize on the indoor season rather than compete in the cross country championships. So, a difference in the decisiveness of those programs and the strategy of those programs, with the interesting scenario in having a choice whether to try to double up or elect to compete in one or the other. Of course, you do have those rabbits up front who are doing that legwork, but Kiptoo is one of those known to be very aggressive. He likes to set a blistering pace early on, as we saw both in the 5,000-meter indoors and then that rolling course in Stillwater, Oklahoma for the cross country championships.
And that indoor 5K, he absolutely took it out so hard. He faded a little bit, but he had put enough room between he and any of the other competitors. He was able to run away with that indoor NCAA 5,000-meter title. You may recognize our leader again. He took out the gentleman in the 1,500 just a little bit ago. This is Neil Gurley. They're trying to run 64s through the first 2,800 meters. 64s.
We mentioned the indoor season for Cooper Teare and Cole Hocker. Cole Hocker, of course, a double champion in the mile and 3K, and then in his outdoor debut, doubled up and raced the 800 and the 1,500, clocking 146 and a 338. So this, his debut at 5,000 meters, stepping up from that 3,000 meter that he raced indoor, and then the 800 and the 1,500 that he's already raced in this outdoor season. And I asked Oregon head coach Robert Johnson about the dynamic within this incredibly competitive field of distance runners that they have in their men's program. He said the camaraderie is so strong with Cooper, with Cole, James, Jackson, all of the guys who they have in this field. He said the guys really push each other, and it's this first 5K opportunity, not just to try to get an NCAA mark, but eyeing that Olympic A standard, because this is going to be likely a very long outdoor competitive season as they look to peak for the NCAA championships, reset, target those Olympic trials as well.
It really is that camaraderie that can allow a program like this to succeed in the way that it does. In fact, I remember the interview post 3,000 where Cooper Teare was fresh for the 3K, but Cole Hocker, the freshman coming off his mile win a little bit earlier, came back and beat Cooper Teare over the last 200 meters, essentially. And Cooper referenced how he had spoken to Cole before the race, and he said, if you can beat me, beat me. And he did. And that's a little bit of humility and camaraderie there, because they know that the rising tide floats all ships, and the men of Oregon are floating really high right now. So after the rabbit is Kiptoo, then Teare, and Hocker. This is 2,000 meters at 5:22, 2,000 meters. It's James West, the pace setter. West will eventually drop out. Kiptoo, Teare, Hocker, and Kurgat.
Much like we talked about in the women's 5,000, those athletes who have doubled up and are aiming for marks in both the 5K and the 10,000, Edwin Kurgat among those. 3 weeks ago at that Hayward Premier meet, ran 27:58:33. Very versatile athlete with his ability to race 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, and an accomplished cross-country runner, of course, as well. Among those Oregon athletes worth mentioning, Jackson Messler, a native of Eugene, Oregon, bred from a couple of Ducks himself. His father was a four-time All-American for Oregon in the steeple. His mother, Jill, a member of Oregon's cross-country team. So continuing that family heritage and proudly representing Oregon. As it appears West is starting to eye when he's going to step off of the track, you imagine that this is the point where Wesley Kiptoo is going to try to extend the advantage that he has. We mentioned that blistering pace. He likes to run up front, not afraid to make those bold, aggressive moves early on, because he's going to want to try to eliminate as much of the sit and kick situation as possible and create an honest environment for this 5,000 meter race.
And through 3,000 meters, if the effort was to run 64s, they've almost nailed it. About 8:04 through 8:05 through 3,000 meters. Kiptoo, Teare, Hocker, and Kurgat. Also James Muara of Gonzaga. That might be Michael Terrence Solano of Portland also in that lead pack. Teare now into the lead. Blair, I think this is the point where we're going to start to see a little bit of effort to start cranking things down or up, whichever way it goes. They're gonna ratchet things to a faster pace.
And I'd imagine that Cole Hocker is going to make a move to position himself and get himself off of that rail, because he's at risk right now of getting a bit boxed in. So what he needs to do is get right there on Cooper's shoulder as they get to that backstretch. Don't want to make a move on the turn. If he has an opportunity to slide out a little bit and try to get around Kiptoo, there's going to be a good position here for him to try to allow Cooper Teare to pull him along for the remainder of this race.
I have to imagine that Teare, as the senior, has a bit more confidence than Cole Hocker, or maybe just confidence and experience, and is not afraid to take the lead in this regard.
Certainly, Cooper Teare's been in this position a number of times for 5,000 meters. He is a personal best of 13:32 for 5,000 meters, whereas Cole Hocker, this is his debut at 5,000 meters at the collegiate level. But he has to be confident in the fact that although this distance is relatively new for the outdoor season, he runs practices, they train together. He's alongside Cooper Teare day in and day out. So it's almost confidence by osmosis in allowing the veteran teammate to pull him along. And you can see, look at how smooth Cole Hocker's stride looks at this portion of the race. There is no sense of panic whatsoever.
There's a reason these top four have separated themselves. At this point, it is calm, composure, and confidence, as Cooper Teare is still leading the pack here with Kiptoo, Hocker, and Kurgat following suit as they continue to pull away from the chase packs.
And it looked like, I believe it was James West who was out there on the backstretch calling out some signals and some cues to his teammates, since he'd stepped off from his pacing duties but remained on the track to try to pull those guys along. And you can start to see, as you mentioned, they were going to start ratcheting things up. It does appear that things are continuing to get gradually quicker, and I would expect even more so as we get into this portion of the race. A top 10 mark currently in the NCAA for the men's 5,000. It's going to take 3:36.
And 13:25 is the Olympic trials qualifying standard. They are on pace for that. It is going to be very tight as they come down the home stretch here. Teare, Kiptoo, Hocker, and Kurgat. Now, Lara, we've seen Hocker wait for the last 250 meters to go before he really turns on the afterburners. One lap remaining, and Teare is going to start kicking it in now. He's going to start laying down the hammer. What are we going to see down the backstretch?
This is like man-to-man defense. You got Cyclones versus Ducks right here going into the backstretch. Who wants it more?
You see Hocker now moving to the outside. Kiptoo up onto Teare's shoulder. Kurgat making the move. Everybody's going to start swinging wide. Down the backstretch we go. Here is the final moment into the last turn of the last lap. Cooper Teare, Kurgat, Hocker, Kiptoo, in second. Teare grinding. He's not going to let anybody by, but Hocker down on the inside. Is he going to get stuck? Is Kiptoo going to keep him? No. Hocker makes it to the outside. He finds room, makes the move. Hocker, just like he did in the 3,000 meters, is going to blast it to the final finish line. The Ducks go 1-2, seeking that standard, definitely under that Olympic trial standard for both of them. Some of the best times in Oregon history, no doubt. But looking at the NCAA times and the descending order lists, those two Ducks cementing themselves again as two of the best, along with the two Iowa State athletes. Phenomenal performances. What kind of consistency and race plan did we see of Kiptoo and Kurgat? Four of a kind out there today in that men's 5K.
An absolute heavyweight battle of elite distance talent. Coming into this weekend, the top time in the NCAA, 13:24 at this distance. All of these athletes among those who are going to be in contention, among the conversation for those who are going to have a chance for an NCAA title. And what a poised, composed effort from the Indianapolis, Indiana native, Cole Hocker, out of Cathedral High School, representing the Oregon Ducks, flexing his ability, his versatility from the mile to the 3,000 to the 5,000, throw the 800 in there. He raced that just a couple of weeks ago. So impressive for those top 4 athletes in this field. This is the closing kick, Rob. How many times can we watch this? The aggressive move, the bold move of Cole Hocker to get out there in lane 2, has to go around and just flexes that incredibly impressive closing speed that we have seen time and time again. Regardless of the race, you put Cole Hocker in position to win a race with 100 meters to go, it's going to be hard to shut him down. 1, 2 for the University of Oregon, 3 and 4 there for Iowa State.
See the times populating the results board. Phenomenal times all around. I'm almost exhausted, Lara.
A collegiate leading mark for Cole Hocker at 3:19.98, squeaking in under the 13:20 mark. A personal best for him, the best mark so far in the NCAA entering the weekend. His teammate just on his heels at 13:20.24. I'm going to look right here. This closing 400 meters, I can't even get the update in just how impressive that was. But those times for Hocker, Teare, Kurgat, Kiptoo, all of those marks better than the NCAA best entering this weekend. You've just seen the top 4 performances so far this outdoor season.